to the Open Scoring MMA podcast. No secrets, no bias, just the real fight game. Let's get ready.
Welcome to Open Scoring MMA. This is episode 31 for July 20, 2026. Your daily look at what's happening now and next across the world of MMA and UFC. Conor McGregor, the Notorious One himself, is once again sidelined with a significant injury, and it's a familiar foe. He's confirmed that his recent setback was an ACL and meniscus tear. McGregor, speaking to SureDog, stated, quote, "Update, it was ACL and meniscus," end quote. This is a tough blow for fans and for McGregor, who was looking to get back into the swing of things. We're hearing he's comparing this injury to a similar one he suffered way back in 2013, which gives him a little bit of perspective, but it still means a lengthy recovery. He's reportedly eyeing a return to the octagon next year, but with an injury of this magnitude, we're likely looking at mid-2027 before we see him back in action. It's a real shame, especially with all the hype building around his potential matchups. You just hate to see a fighter, especially one of his caliber, dealing with these kinds of injuries. It really puts a damper on things, and it makes you wonder about the long-term impact on his career. The MMA community on Reddit is having a field day with this one, discussing the implications of his injury and the timeline for his return. Everyone's got an opinion on what this means for the lightweight division and for McGregor's future. It's a hot topic for sure. Speaking of potential matchups, word is Max Holloway was already looking at a possible third confrontation with McGregor. But with the Irishman now seriously injured and out until at least mid-2027, Holloway is shifting his focus. He's now setting his sights on a UFC title shot, asking the very reasonable question, why not? And honestly, why not indeed? Holloway is a force to be reckoned with, and with McGregor out of the picture for a while, the landscape of the lightweight division is wide open. It's a smart move for Holloway to pivot and go after that gold. He's earned it, and he's always put on a show. Now let's talk about the action that actually happened this past weekend. UFC Oklahoma City delivered some serious fireworks. Plessis had been out of action for almost a year, but he came back in great style, putting on a dominant performance. He was so excited with his showing that he immediately started campaigning for a title shot, and honestly, after that kind of performance, who can blame him? He was later recognized for his performance, which is always a nice little bonus. He had a clear message after his big comeback win, and it was all about getting back to the top. He looked sharp, he looked focused, and he looked like a man on a mission. However, Kamaru Usman, on the other side of that main event, wasn't happy with the judge's decision. He voiced his disappointment, asking, quote, "What were the judges watching?" End quote. It's always tough when a fighter feels like they got a raw deal, and Usman is clearly feeling that sting. It just goes to show how subjective judging can be in this sport and how a fight can look completely different depending on your perspective. But from where I was sitting, Plessis looked like he earned that win. In the co-main event at UFC Oklahoma City, Christian Leroy Duncan also secured a unanimous decision victory, taking down former title challenger Jared Cannonier. This was a massive win for Duncan, the biggest of his Ultimate Fighting Championship career. He really put the middleweight division on notice with that performance. He showed he belongs at the top, and he's definitely a name to watch in that stacked division. And let's not forget Chase Hooper, who reportedly defeated Mitch Ramirez. That's a statement win right there, and it shows Hooper's continued growth and evolution as a fighter. It was a great night of fights all around with some real standout performances. Shifting gears a bit, Paramount Plus decided to throw some shade at the 2026 FIFA World Cup final, comparing it to one of the most lackluster fights in UFC history. That's a pretty bold move, and it definitely got people talking. It's always interesting when a broadcast partner gets a little cheeky with their social media. It shows they're plugged into the culture and not afraid to stir the pot a little. It's all in good fun, and it certainly generated some buzz. Looking ahead, the Ultimate Fighting Championship has reportedly announced 6 bouts for an upcoming Noche UFC event, and it's shaping up to be a fantastic card. Anytime you get former champions on a card, you know it's going to be a good one. It adds a whole new level of excitement and prestige to the event. I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of matchups they've put together. It's going to be a night of high-stakes action for sure. In other news, Cain Velasquez has been singing the praises of Islam Makhachev, backing him to extend his historic UFC run. Velasquez clearly sees something special in Makhachev, and it's hard to argue with that. Makhachev has been on an absolute tear, and he's proving to be one of the most dominant fighters in the sport. When a legend like Velasquez gives you that kind of endorsement, you know you're doing something right. It speaks volumes about Makhachev's skill and potential. And speaking of potential, Walter Walker is predicting big things for one of his teammates, Bogdan Guskov. Walker believes Guskov is destined to become an Ultimate Fighting Championship title holder soon. It's always cool to see fighters supporting their teammates and hyping them up. It shows a real sense of camaraderie and belief in each other's abilities. Guskov must be putting in some serious work for Walker to be making such a bold prediction. Alexander Pantoja is also eager to reclaim the Ultimate Fighting Championship flyweight title after recovering from an arm injury. He's ready for a rematch with Joshua Van, and that's a fight I definitely want to see. Pantoja is a fierce competitor, and he's not going to let an injury keep him down for long. The flyweight division is always exciting, and a rematch between those two would be an absolute banger. He's got that fire in his belly, and he's coming back with a vengeance. Nora, we've got to talk about this PFL and Rizin crossover. CEO Sakakibara is talking about a double title fight, calling it potentially a world first in MMA history. He said they readily accepted the request to go down a thorny path. What's your take on this? It sounds like a massive undertaking, but also potentially huge for the sport.
Duke, it's indeed a significant development. The logistical complexities of a cross-promotional double title fight are immense, especially with two different organizations' belts on the line. However, the potential for a truly historic event, as Sakakibara suggests, is undeniable. From a statistical standpoint, the novelty alone would generate immense interest, which could translate into substantial viewership and revenue.
But is it too much? Are they biting off more than they can chew? A thorny path sounds like a lot of potential for things to go wrong. And let's be honest, we've seen cross-promotional fights before, but never with this kind of stakes.
The risk-reward ratio is certainly high. There are numerous variables to consider, from fighter contracts and weight classes to judging criteria and broadcast rights. However, if executed successfully, the precedent it sets could reshape how we view interpromotional matchups. The model doesn't account for the thorny path factor, but the potential for a unique spectacle is clear.
So you're saying the numbers can't quite capture the sheer ambition of this? It's more about the story, the narrative, the first-time ever aspect than just the fighters involved?
Precisely. The model quantifies performance and probabilities within established frameworks. This, however, is an attempt to redefine a framework. The impact would be qualitative as much as quantitative, influencing the sport's narrative for years to come. It's a bold move, and if it pays off, it could be monumental.
Monumental. I like the sound of that. It's the kind of thing that gets fans really excited. A true super fight scenario. I'm cautiously optimistic, but definitely intrigued.
As am I. The execution will be key.
All right, let's get to our OSM pick for today. Our system has been crunching the numbers, and we've got a really interesting one for you. For a potential matchup between Paddy Pimblett and Conor McGregor, our model is picking Paddy Pimblett to win. We're giving Paddy about a 68% chance of victory here. Now, that's significantly higher than some of the current betting lines, which might imply around a 58% chance for Pimblett. So, we're seeing some real value there. This is a value pick for us, meaning we like it more than the market does. The top reasons our model is leaning towards the baddie are twofold. His current form looks incredibly strong, and the stylistic matchup really favors him in this potential bout. We've got a lean confidence on this one, but it's a strong lean. We're feeling pretty good about Paddy's chances here. That's all for today's episode of Open Scoring MMA. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for more breaking news and analysis from the world of mixed martial arts. Until then, keep those hands up and your chin down. Before you go, two quick things. Check out our free fight tracker at tracker.openscoringmma.com with every upcoming UFC and PFL card, live odds, and where to watch all in one place. And follow us on YouTube. Just search Open Scoring MMA for breaking news alerts, fight breakdowns, and videos you won't get here on the feed. That's it for today's Open Scoring MMA. Keep your hands up, and we'll see you next time.